for
Oh,
sure.
so where are you in the world right now?
Right now, I am in Cuernavaca, which is my hometown where I grew up. And it's a little town an hour away from Mexico City. Have you heard about it?
I feel like that name brings to mind something, but I couldn't tell you what.
Cuernavaca. Yeah, it's like an hour away from Mexico City. This is where I grew up, and it means the city of eternal spring because all year round the weather is just perfect. And it's very lush. It's full of flowers and bougainvilleas and palm trees, and it's just like very, very, very lush.
Awesome.
Super nice. Yeah. And you, where are you?
I'm in Costa Rica.
Mm,
I'm in Uvita, which is where I'm living now. I just got
okay.
back after a busy summer of lots of travel, and I
Mm-hmm.
just got home a few days ago and settling in. And the kids are in their second day of school, and so I'm like reconnecting to mom life and
Okay. Yeah.
get things done while I'm occupied, which feels really good.
Yeah. I thought you were based in Nicaragua.
I was for
You
a long
were.
time, but
Okay.
not for many years now. So I
Okay.
was
Now you're in Uvita.
yeah, I got to go to Nicaragua this summer and get some waves and reconnect with my friends there, which was really nice. But yeah,
Nice. Yeah.
there's not a lot of school and infrastructure for families there.
Okay. So for like the kiddos.
Exactly. So that's why we're
Mm-hmm.
here.
Yeah, Costa Rica is great for that, eh? Like there's so many families and yeah, it just looks amazing for that kind
Yeah.
of lifestyle.
Yeah, we're stoked.
Yeah.
But normally the next question I ask is, did you surf today? Although I'm guessing based on where you're located that
No, but okay, so the intention of my trip was to come visit my parents. That's why I'm here. I wanted to come visit my parents. And I went to visit a girlfriend in Mexico City for the previous week, and we were supposed to go host a retreat in Valle de Bravo, and the retreat got canceled. And so we were like, what should we do? And Mexico City is flooded right now. Like the rain here is crazy. I think in Costa Rica's rainy season as well.
yeah.
You know those like it's just like monsoon for like a couple hours. So Mexico City was chaos, and we're like, what do we do? I was like, should we go to La Salsita? Okay, let's go. We drove 10 hours. It's far driving because her car also is not really fast. So we drove 10 hours to get to La Saladita. So I did surf, not today, but 2 days ago. I was in the water, and it was amazing. It was
Amazing.
amazing. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
epic.
Yeah. So I have the waves with me right now in the ocean medicine, and it's just the best feeling. Yeah.
Epic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you grew up in Mexico in a place
Mm-hmm.
that's not near the beach. So
Yeah.
tell me a little bit about your story. Like you grew up in Mexico. At what point did you leave, and how did you get into surfing and all of that?
Yeah, so I started surfing. So when I was young, my sport was horseback riding. I was horseback riding jumping competition. So that was like my sport. And when I turned 18, so I did that for like my whole childhood and teenage years. And that was like an amazing sport to be in. Like it taught me a lot, about facing your fears, and you are it's the only sport where you're with another sentient being, right? Like you have to connect with the energy of the horse, and the ocean is a sentient being as well, right? So you have to connect with the so I feel like that gave me a lot of sensitivity. And when I turned 18, I went to med school in Mexico City. And I didn't have time to do both because I was fully in training with my horses. And when I turned 18, I won a big championship. I was categorized number one in my category for a year. Like it was a big deal. And I feel like that like was the peak moment of that cycle with that sport. And then I went to med school and I stopped horseback riding because med school was demanding a lot of my time and my energy, and I couldn't do both. But then one crazy weekend, I was with a friend of mine that is a surfer and my brother, And we decided to go for the weekend to Oaxaca. And I remember we drove 10 hours to go to Oaxaca. And I remember my surfer brother was just like magnetized by the ocean. And I was like, it's interesting. Like he was just like, and he was like, do you want to come swim with me to it was Cicatela, Mex Pipe, huge waves, right? And I was like, I'm curious about this surfing. He was like, well, if you want to learn, you have to like feel the current and feel the wave. So come with me. So he took me, we swam to the I had no idea at that time. I was like 20. I was like, okay, I'll just go. And then I felt the current and I felt the power of the ocean. I was like, okay, if I want to learn how to surf, I need to be a really good swimmer. So then I came back to Mexico City and I registered in a swimming pool and I learned how to swim properly to become like a strong swimmer. And then with my friend Santi and her brother, we started to go to Acapulco every weekend and they taught me how to surf. And I remember I got my longboard and that was very healing for me because in med school, because I was not horseback riding anymore, I started to gain a lot of weight. I started to, it's a high stress career. It's I started to smoke a lot, to drink a lot, to party a lot, and to eat junk food, like street tacos and whatever we could get a hold of. And so I started to gain a lot of weight and I also took the birth control pills. So I wasn't connected to my moon cycles and my hormones just went out of whack, acne, I just felt so insecure and so bad about my self-image. And then I started to go surfing, and just by surfing and being in the water and being in movement and active, like I started to lose weight and to start to get really strong and really healthy and really vital and really confident. So it was very, very healing for me at that time. Mm-hmm.
And I imagine growing up in Mexico City, like there wasn't a lot of ocean or water culture. So when your parents and family found out that you were doing this, what did they think?
Yeah, my family is not an ocean person at all. Like we seldom went to trips to the ocean. We did, but my parents are really cool. So they've always supported me in whatever I want to do. So they were just like, just be careful. And yeah, there was like, yeah, they were pretty cool about it.
And how far is Acapulco from Mexico City?
It's like 4 hours. 4 hours.
That seems really impressive that like in amongst going to medical school that you could drive 4 hours on the weekends to go and surf. Like that to me is pretty amazing.
Yeah. I like as soon as I caught my first green wave, even as soon as I caught my first like like whitewash, like I was hooked. I was hooked like that. And I feel also because it kind of reminded me of when I was jumping with my horses. Like it gave me back that feeling of freedom, that feeling of excitement, that feeling of doing something really powerful, doing something really out of the norm, like not, like being in the air, be like jumping with the horse is quite an experience. And same with surfing, like as soon as you catch that wave and like it's wow, it's the best feeling ever. So I was hooked, and my surfer friends were so frothy all the time. They just wanted to, and they were not in med school. They were like just living life, so they had more time. So they would like drive me back and forth, and they were amazing. They were so supportive and like just motivating me to keep going. They were like so happy that I had joined their little surfing club. Yeah.
I actually also grew up competing in horseback riding.
Jumping. Oh yeah? No way.
I did it from, I I had my first horse competition when I was very, very young. I was like 3 years old. I have a
Oh,
picture of me.
wow.
But I started surfing when I was 15.
Okay.
And I stopped competing in horses at that time. It was kind of like I went straight from one to the other. So I can totally relate to what you're saying. And I think it is interesting to think about the similarities, because it's like when you're riding the horse, it's like you're paying attention to like their ears and their subtle body movements, and like almost
Totally.
so fast that you can't even really think about it. So it's like
Totally.
seeing their ears and you're feeling their movements and their tension or whatever, and then you're adjusting what you're doing to be in rhythm with them. And I feel like surfing is so similar with that, where like even if you're not conscious of, okay, the wave is doing this and so I have to do that, it all happens so
So
quickly
fast.
that
Yeah.
you get it, that you don't even really notice it's happening.
Yeah.
But I feel like having grown up riding horses, like those brain pathways
Yeah. Yeah.
I already have like the brain pathways to understand how to get my body to be in rhythm with this, sentient being, as you put it. I think it's
Yeah. That's so cool that you have that experience too, Holly. Yeah. And both, like you say, they're very dynamic activities, very dynamic sports, and there's so many things going on that you have to adapt and flow.
for sure. Okay, so
Cool.
you learned how to surf in Acapulco, and then eventually you graduated med school. And
Yeah.
what type of specialization in med school were you focused on?
So in Mexico, you graduate as general physician. And then after that, the path is to do a residency in gynecology or pediatrics or internal med. But I knew that that was not my path. Like I was not thriving in the hospital setting. I was very good. I was a very good doctor, but my spirit was being crushed, because as a young doctor, as a young medical student, you're exposed to a lot of trauma. And at that time, I don't know how it is right now. I know in Canada they do receive more support, but at that time we had no tools for mental health, like no tools. So that's why I started partying a lot and drinking and smoking, because I didn't have any tools to cope with the experiences that I was having. So my spirit was being crushed, and I knew, and I was getting sicker and sicker and sicker. I had polycystic ovary syndrome. My endometriosis symptoms started to become more present, more apparent. I was getting depressed. I was just like so dismotivated also by the medical system. And in Mexico, to graduate, to get your license, you have to do 1 year social service. And in that social service, they send you to rural aspects of Mexico because they need doctors. So I was very lucky, privileged, and blessed to have gone to Chiapas, very close to San Cristobal de las Casas, to a little indigenous community called Oxuc. And I was there for a year. And what I've noticed is for chronic conditions, I wasn't helping. Like I was prescribing my meds, my drugs, everything that I know, that I was trained for, but I wasn't helping. They kept coming back for the same thing But then there was a doctor there that was doing ear acupuncture, and a lot of them, there's a very rich shamanic medicine and herbal medicine. It's the Mayan herbal medicine. So a lot of them were being cured by herbs. And then I started to get very curious of like there's something here. So then I went to a curandera, and I started to treat myself for my heavy menses, painful cycles, my PCOS, like all my hormonal disbalances that I was having. I started to treat myself with this local healer, and I started to get better. And I was like, and then I started to get more in depth in energy healing. I was initiated in Reiki, and I started my yoga practice. So I started to complement with all these other alternative ways. And I started to see, like I started to feel better. So then that's when I decided that I needed to dive deeper into that realm. And I went to Canada to study Chinese medicine in 2007. So instead of doing gynecology pediatrics, I say that my specialty became Chinese medicine. And that's why I started my path there.
And so it sounds like the initial education that you had in like Western medicine in your medical school degree was over here with like medicines and all that. And then all of a sudden through having this experience with the curandera and the indigenous community, your mind was open, and then you went to go medicine. So how did you end up, like, did you just sort of say, okay, everything that I learned before I'm just going to ignore that, and now I'm going to go in their direction? Or have there been pieces from the Western medicine that now you're integrating into the alternative?
Absolutely. Now there's a big integration, but at the time I was rejecting the medical system, and I was like, I don't want to be part of this. And for years and years and years, I didn't tell anyone that I was a doctor. Like, it was something like even that I was ashamed of, you know. It's like, no. And now I'm very proud of that, because that's a big part of my journey and what has led me here. And I truly, truly believe that the future of medicine is the integration of both, of Western and Eastern modalities.
And what happened to change that? Because you said for a long time you like rejected it and like were even embarrassed and didn't tell anybody about it. And now you've come to see the integration. So was there something in particular that brought that to be?
I think just experience and realizing that Western medicine has amazing tools that we can utilize, like imagery, you know, being able to look into the human body and see what's happening. That blows my mind. You know, like, there's so many things that we can complement. And so I think it was just through time and experience and really seeing how both can serve a person. You know,
Like,
it's
would
not
you
either
say,
or.
I mean, I hear you saying that through your Western experience that there were things missing, there were pieces missing, and you know, you didn't have the tools that you needed. And then I guess I can imagine that then by ignoring that and shifting back over to the, you know, the Chinese medicine and we'll call it alternative healing, then did you eventually get to the point where you're like, wait a minute, but this is missing things too, like imagery?
Yes, absolutely. And also, like, the spiritual aspect is missing in both, you know, because Chinese medicine became very clinical with the Cultural Revolution in Mao, with Mao's dictatorship. And he, like, uprooted all the spiritual, esoteric components of Chinese medicine. So actually, like, studying Chinese medicine, it gave me a lot of the clinical aspects. But then I had to go search for the more spiritual aspects as well. So it's been a continuous search. And of course, like, it's like a big puzzle, right? It's like a big puzzle. So each part has its place, but it's missing like the pieces of the other one. It's like the yin yang, and there's always a piece inside that we need to go and like implement.
Okay, so now I'm interested then. So by realizing that, okay, you've got the Western, you've got the Eastern, but now there's this other piece, the spirituality missing. So where did you go to find that?
Yeah, so that was another amazing blessing that I've had in my life. So when I finished med school, I was like, I want to find my teachers, because I started dabbling in Reiki and energy healing and yoga. And I was like, I want to learn more. And I went to India and I didn't find anything. And then a dear friend of mine told me that her friends from Mexico were doing a shamanic retreat in Vancouver, that I should go and check them out. So I did, and the shamanic retreat was not in Vancouver, it was in the Kootenays. So it was a long drive, but I arrived and I met one of my principal teachers, Gretchen Anderson, that has been my shamanic teacher since then, for like 17 years. And she's lived in Mexico for her whole life. And in that retreat, she brought her Mexican Purepecha indigenous medicine woman that she had studied with for years and years. And it's this little indigenous woman that came and gave us her medicine. And it was just like, it changed my life. And after that, they I was connected with one of my other main teachers, Dr. Carlos de Leon, who all of these teachers are part of a school called ontogeny, which means realization of the self. And they're Mexican. So it's a really interesting journey, because I got connected with my shamanic spiritual lineage in Canada. So I had to leave Mexico to connect with my teachers. And so since then, yeah, Carlos and Gretchen have been my principal teachers. And with them I've studied shamanism, tantra, Buddhism, magic, and therapy, body-mind therapy as well.
That's quite a collection there. Magic and therapy. I love it.
Yeah, because my teacher says, and I agree, that a lot of the spiritual traditions are missing, again, the pieces of the puzzle, right? Like each one has a big treasure. Like Taoism has a big treasure of longevity and qi and vitality, with Chinese medicine and herbs and qigong. But then but they're missing a lot of the meditation aspects that Buddhism can give you. So Buddhism holds a lot of the royal path of meditation and cultivating the observer. But they don't have a big component of transforming our neurosis, our shadow. And we need to work with those aspects of the self as well, to have a true transformation. And again, for me, healing is the integration of everything, of body, mind, heart, soul, and spirit. So that's why all the different components.
Yeah, which
right?
then makes you got to have all. And magic, how does magic fit in? We're talking like I'm gonna put a ball underneath these cups and move them around, and what define magic?
Magic magic is the experience when you transform. It's transformation, it's alchemy, right? Like the magicians, what did they do? Like the alchemists, what did they do? Their quest was to transform low level grades of metals into gold, right? So in the human psyche is the same. Like a magical experience is when you transform something low level vibration into a high level vibration, which is coherence, right? Like gold, it's a high level metal because it has a high coherence and it's able to send heat faster because of the level of coherence. So same with our psyche, and if you can create a higher level of coherence, then you can transform a situation. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, definitely. It's like not the definition of magic that I imagined, so that's why I wanted to get your version of. When I think of magic, I think of my son like
playing with cards.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
magic is related very much to the shamanic realms, like playing with the spirit of the elementals, right? Like surfing can be a very magical experience when everything connects, and you're like in that flow state, and then a dolphin comes, or those are like magical experience, because there's a high level of coherence, of flow. So that's what I mean with magic.
Got it. Yeah. Okay, so then how would you introduce yourself then? Like, I am a doctor of whatever.
Híjoles, I feel like I'm many things. I'm many things, but I feel like I am a facilitator of transformational experiences. I'm also a gypsy. I'm a gypsy witch doctor.
Yes.
I think that would be like the most accurate. I'm a gypsy witch doctor because I also love to travel and explore, and yeah, witch doctor, which relates to this.
Yeah, I was, so just for people who don't know, we met on a retreat, and we had a chance to chit chat a little bit, but not a whole lot. And then you told me this story that we'll get into in a minute about a horrible surfing accident that you have, that I feel like is really important for everybody that's here. And I've told your story to people many times whenever I see them doing the thing that,
Yeah.
but like we'll get there in just a second. But yeah, I didn't know a ton about you, and then I was just looking at your website in preparation to talk about this, and I was like, oh my gosh, there's all these interesting things and retreats about facilitating people connecting with their feminine, divine feminine, and sexuality and all of these things that I was like, oh wow, that's so interesting. So I'm curious about like sort of your philosophy, and now hearing your background of all the different things that you've studied and influences that you had. To sum up sort of your philosophy and like the general message that you're trying to share, what would you say? See Witch Doctor.
Yes, and I think it is very important that my focus has been in women's health, in women's empowerment, and like you say, in helping women reconnect with their feminine energy through their inner cycles, through their moon cycles, and because that's been a huge part of my own journey, as I've shared. So a lot of what I share in my one-on-ones, in my groups, in my mentorship programs is for women. I'm passionate about supporting women.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I want to let's talk about your surf story.
Yeah. Yeah, and with that, like when I was thinking about how we met, we were surfing in Panama, and I remember that I got spooked by there was a wave coming, and I was able to take it, but because of this story, I didn't take it. And I remember that you came up to me and you were like, "So, what were you feeling right before that wave?" And I thought that was like such a cool moment, because you put me in the moment and to reflect. And I was like, oh, like shit, like I still have fear. There's still a lot of fear, and I'm still, and I'm very proud of myself that I'm still like out there, and I'm catching my waves, but there's still a component but yeah, I'm very grateful for that moment and that connection. And so the story is in 2012, when I was studying Chinese medicine, I went to Taiwan to do an internship of Chinese medicine. And while I was there, every time that I've traveled, I always try to find surf opportunities. And when I was there, I saw that there was surfing in this beach like 3 hours away from where I was staying. So I don't know how I connected with some of my surfer friends, and they connected with some friends that were going to be there that weekend. So it's like, okay, let's meet there, but I'm going to arrive a day before, but we're going. So I was going to meet some new friends. And so I arrived there on a Friday, and I was leaving on the Sunday. So I only had a day and a half for surfing. So I arrived on a Friday, and I stayed in a little surf shop that was also a hostel, and it was owned by these two Taiwanese, a couple that they were just married. And so I woke up sunrise. I went surfing. I caught some waves. It was great. Then during the day, I did a bike ride and I did some yoga on the beach. So I was very active that day. I was very active. So sunset was coming. And I was tired, but because I only had a day and a half, I was like, no, I have to take advantage, and I'm gonna go for sunset surf. So because I was tired, I didn't have a lot of arms, I rented the longest, heaviest board there was. I don't know. I think it was probably like a 10-foot. It was big, like a paddle board. So I'm like with this board, and I'm going into the surf, and I'm walking. The water's to my waist. I'm walking. I grab the board from the nose, and then the swell was starting to become bigger, and the wave came, and you know how you grab the nose of the board and you can like cross it. So I did that for a couple of times, but the swell started to come bigger and bigger, and then one of the waves took my board. So I pulled the leash to bring the board back to myself, and the other wave was coming, and I didn't have time to turn the board to grab it with my hand on the nose. So I grabbed the board on the tail. and I put my hand right where the little cord that attaches the leash is attached. So I put my hand there and I grab the tail and I try to pass the wave again, but with the weight of the wave, the weight of the big board and me trying to cross the wave, it just went. So it snapped the tip of my right finger. And at the moment, I just felt like a slap. It was not painful at all. But then I brought my hand up to the water and yeah, I had no finger, completely gone. So yeah, never grab the board from the tail, you guys.
So just to clarify, so I guess when I first heard that story, I thought that you had grabbed onto the leash, like where it attached to the tail, but you were actually holding like the tail of the board.
I was holding the tail of the board.
Yeah. And so then when the board flipped, the leash string wrapped around your finger?
No, it never wrapped. It was just like, yeah, I was grabbing the board. So the little rope is here and I grabbed the board like this. And so with the weight, like it just pulled and you see?
Yeah. So
yeah, it never wrapped.
The string that connected the leash, where the
little string,
the leash to the board, your finger got in between that.
Yeah, I was grabbing the board. Yeah, in between that string. So then, with the weight of the wave and the weight of the board going one way and me trying to go the other way, it just created an effect. That it chopped.
Right. And I have seen it before where people, and I think this is what I was imagining that had happened when the first time I heard the story, where people will grab onto the leash, like right where it touches the board. And then that will happen, like the board will flip over. And I actually saw it one time in Nicaragua at a different surf camp where the same thing happened. And in that case, they were grabbing onto the leash. Is like, if you can't hold the board with both hands, just or get your whole arm like around the board, just let it go, you know, because it's just going to be, you're not going to be able to hang on to it, and it's just going to be safer for you to just let it go, you know, and hopefully there's nobody behind you.
There's no Tell
me the next step. So you didn't even hurt at first. You bring your hand to look at it, and you're missing the top part of your finger.
I'm missing the top of my finger. So then I'm like, okay, don't panic. Grab your board. Get out of the ocean, right? Get out of the ocean. Don't panic. Okay, let's go out. And then once I'm out, because at that time I was already trained in body mind therapy and how to move trauma through the body. And what happens in a traumatic event is that because we need to stay present in the here and now, we don't allow the full emotion. We don't allow the full expression of what you're really feeling because you're trying to like stay present. So in the moment, I was like, okay, I'm feeling this. I'm just going to scream to the top of my lungs and just allow the energy and the trauma to move through my body. So I started like screaming, like a crazy person, and you gotta like imagine you're in Taiwan, right? And Asian people, they keep their emotions really, really, really tight, right? Like culturally, they're very rigid. They're not very emotionally fluent. So I'm screaming, crazy lady, like. And then once I finished that, I was like, help, you know, because there was a lifeguard there. So the lifeguard was a teenage boy who just looked at me and he got traumatized. He like froze. He couldn't do anything. So I was like, call the ambulance, like put a tourniquet, something. And he was like, he didn't move. He was frozen. So I was like, okay, I have to deal with this myself. So I grabbed my shirt and I put it on top of it to like close the wound. And I walked myself to the surf shop, and there the couple was there, and they saw what happened. And so they called the ambulance, and the ambulance came and they followed me in their car all the way to the hospital. And in the ambulance, this was a beautiful teaching because at the time, again, I had already been immersed in a lot of my spiritual practices. And what I experienced is that if I did pranayama, if I was consciously breathing and doing mantra, repeating mantra or prayer, there was no pain, like no pain at all. Because I was focused in something transcendental, more than the physical body. And I was able to put myself in a state of coherence, magic. So there was no pain. That is magic. No pain. And then as soon as I saw my finger and I went into panic mode, excruciating pain. Excruciating pain. I was like, okay, mantra, repeat mantra, breathing. And that was a beautiful experience of the reminder of power of breath, no? And the power of prayer and of connecting something higher than this. And so then I got to the hospital and I don't speak Taiwanese. So I'm like, okay, I'm in the mercy, in the grace of the moment. And this little couple came and they were like so cute. They were with me the whole time. They were like supporting me. They paid for the hospital bills because they were like, you're our surfer friend and we want to support our surfer sister that this happened so that you know, it was like little angels. And then a friend who at the time wasn't my friend, but she was a student that came from Vancouver to do the internship in Taiwan. And she was Taiwanese. So her family was in Taiwan, in Taichung. And I called her and she came to help me. So then her dad came to pick me up from the airport and then took me to her aunt's house to feed me chicken soup. So I felt like really, really nourished. Really, really nourished. And then back in Taichung in the hospital, everybody was taking care of me and looking out for me. And yeah, like little angels coming all around to help me through this very traumatic journey. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing that you had the training and then the presence of mind to be like, hang on, I know what to do here because I am a medical doctor. So I know how to stop the bleeding and, you know, some ideas about treatment, but then also having those spiritual and breathing tools to be able to say, no, this is, instead of keeping it together, I'm going to allow myself to have this emotional reaction and actually scream and get it out, because that's actually not only is it something that I want to do, but it's actually going to be helpful and healing for me to do that. Because I think that, you know, there is this culture of like, I have to be strong and it's fine and it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. But like having the awareness that yes, it is going to be fine, but also by allowing ourselves to have that emotion that we're actually going to, you know, hasten the healing process.
Totally. 100%. Yeah. This is a lot of what I teach to my communities is how to move through your emotions. Because like you say, we live in a society where we're not allowed to scream. We're not allowed to get angry. We're not allowed to get sad and cry, you know, like good girls don't cry, good boys don't get angry. And, you know, we have all of this emotion that's been like suppressed because of all the experiences we've had in life. Imagine if I didn't like allow myself, that scream was gonna be with me until I let it, you know, either in that moment or 20 years later. And it's the same with all traumatic events. Mm-hmm.
So you mentioned that fear though is still with you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like I've noticed, like I did have PTSD after that event. Like I did have nightmares of surfing and the ocean, and I did force myself to get back on a board a year later, and I feel like, I don't know, like I think it's the older I get, I'm like more cautious. I'm not as adventurous or I was fearless, right? When I was horseback riding, fearless, but also like I think I think it's also part of the journey as a human. You start to get these experiences and to learn to move and to still take action in spite of the fear. Because I do still feel it, like, and also surfing, like I'm not as, like I don't go out in like big waves anymore. Well, before I was like, let's go. Yeah. So there's still some fear in there. Mm-hmm.
And I think you're right that, as you get older and your body doesn't heal as quickly as it did when you were young, and you have a little bit more like, you've seen more people actually get injured. There's not that denial that, I'm invincible,
Mm-hmm.
But also I wonder, like, when you are confronted with fear, and it's not an unreasonable fear, like, I'm just going to choose, I don't need to go out in big waves, I'm just going to choose not to. But like, for example, that wave that I saw you on, whatever, another time when you recognize, like, okay, I realize that this fear is coming up, like, what are some tools that you use in those moments to work through it? Because I think it's a common thing that people
Absolutely. For me, when I do feel that energy is coming up, breath. I try to put myself out of like the danger zone and like just paddle a little bit deeper where I feel safe. And I just allow myself to stay there for a couple minutes, 10 minutes, as long as like I start to feel that my nervous system starts to downregulate. And breath, I sing a lot in the ocean. And singing is great because it stimulates the vagus nerve, and the vagus nerve is one in control of the parasympathetic nervous system. So singing, like moaning, breath is just like the best tool to help us to ground, to come back into the body and to assess, right? Like when you with that wave, I was like, okay, I felt fear. I reacted to the fear. Okay, so let's just analyze. And was I really in danger? No. Okay, well, let's try it again, and try again, and try again, and try again.
Yeah, I like what you brought there, because in some cases the fear is there in a really good way. Like the fear is there, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Fear is not a wrong emotion. Yeah.
No. But it also can be a little overactive. And so it's nice to have that moment, be like, okay, is that a fear that's like really important for me to be having right now? Or maybe not. And if I decide that actually, thank you, fear, for like speaking up, but I think we're good here, then bringing in those tools of breathing or singing.
Yeah. Visualization is another one that's like amazing.
And what would you be visualizing, you think, using this example?
Yeah, like I would have visualized myself being super calm and paddling to the wave and catching the wave, and just visualizing the whole journey from like paddling to dropping to like surfing it to coming out. Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's really helpful. I think that is a practice that we can all use. And because fear comes up in different ways. Obviously, we're talking about it in the context of surfing, but you could use that same practice in, whatever, the rest of your life, or making decisions, or anything else.
Absolutely. One of the tools that I've learned in all of these journeys, hypnosis. So doing self-hypnosis for athletic performance is another like amazing tool.
So talk a little bit about that, because I think that, just like magic, a lot of people have ideas of like, what is hypnosis,
Yeah.
See the guy up on stage that like puts somebody to sleep and then they're
totally.
And like, how would you?
Totally. So hypnosis actually is a natural state of consciousness that we all have. You know how we have different states of consciousness? You have the waking state and the sleeping state in the most like dualistic, right? But in between you have different states. You have like the alpha wave brain state, the theta wavelength, the delta, and so different states of consciousness, and hypnosis is it's called hypnagogic state. Hypnagogic state is this state when you're mesmerized by something. So you can be hypnotized by a flower. You can be hypnotized by a snake, for example, that example of like the snake, when you're mesmerized. And it's also synonymous to trance, to a trance state. So drumming, for example, like a constant rhythmic sound can put you in a hypnagogic state, in a state of trance. But what does that mean? Trance or hypnosis state is when all states of consciousness are connected. Your conscious state and your subconscious state. And so you have the ability to connect to all the levels of your consciousness. And that is an amazing tool because all our limiting beliefs are in the shadow and things that we don't see. And if you have a way to connect to that depth of your consciousness and reprogram your limiting beliefs, then like you can do, it's like magic. So say like I do this all the time in surfing, in snowboarding, in the mountain. When I go up in the gondola, I always put myself in a hypnosis state. And then I do affirmations and programming. So of connecting to the mountain. I'm going to be connecting to all the elements. I'm going to be in flow state. I trust my body completely. I trust my skills. And it's like doing positive affirmations, but you need to tap into the unconscious for them to really land, for them to really create a true transformation. Because if you only do them in your conscious state, it's more like woo-woo.
Okay, so how would you do that then? What's your process for connecting to putting yourself in a
hypnosis state? Well, it's a process. It's a training. It's a technique. You have to train yourself to put yourself in a self-hypnosis state.
And how do you know that you've gotten there?
You can't move, for example. You're in a catatonic state.
So but then how can you be on the chairlift giving yourself affirmations? Because that seems like the conscious mind. I mean, I guess you're saying that they're all connected.
You're aware all the time because there's this misunderstanding that when you are in a hypnosis state, you lose control because of the theatrical hypnosis, right? Yeah. Because people put you to do like, dance like a chicken and, But those people that are doing that is because there's a part of them that want to do it.
Yeah, that's choosing to do it.
They're choosing to do it. So you're always aware, you're always in control.
Okay.
And there's like, I give myself like signals to put myself in and out. And so you go in and out of hypnosis. And then the more you train, the faster you can go in and out of the states. Like surfing is a very hypnotic experience.
Except not catatonic.
No.
It's a bad place to be catatonic.
Yeah. But you can be in hypnosis state and move like the theatrical people.
Gilmore.
Again, it's a flow state.
So let's say that you are on the chairlift and you are ready to give yourself the positive affirmations that you are one with the mountain. Like, what would your process be for putting yourself into that state?
Yeah, again, I have a signal. So the chairlift like I go to Whistler and it's like a 15-minute ride up or like 20 minutes. It's a long ride and it's closed, like I'm safe. I'm in a closed environment. And so I give myself a signal, and with that signal, because I've trained myself enough times to go into that state, I go deep into that state, and that process takes place on itself because I've programmed myself before.
So you've learned how to do it, and then it's like you give yourself that signal, and your body's like, I know what to do with that signal, and it just goes. Interesting. It's so intriguing to me. And other people in the chairlift, like, are they like aware
No, no, because I'm with my goggles. I'm just like sleep, like taking a little nap.
Uh-huh. Interesting.
Yeah, they
So
don't they don't know.
tools available for
So many different tools for healing, yeah, and for thriving, right? Like athletic performance using yeah tools.
and so you are from seeing your website, you are also working as a coach. So somebody listening to this says, "Oh my goodness, I want to connect with this gypsy witch doctor."
Yeah, totally.
You can find individually tailored regiment that would combine this and that and everything else based on the person.
Yes. Yes. So I have a community. I have an online community where I'm teaching qigong. Qigong is one of my favorite practices. Qigong, which I'm going sacred embodiment, as well tarot for receiving messages of your inner self and spirit, and ceremonies because I love playing with the energetics of the moon. And I'm actually doing a sacred sexuality challenge in this community very
saw
soon.
that. It definitely like sparked my interest.
But
So you talk about like what that looks like because that's coming up.
that's coming up September 8th. It's a week long. So the intention or the why I wanted to offer this is because I feel like a lot of women are disconnected with their body and with their sexuality and what they like and what they don't like. And this can create challenges in partnerships, and not knowing how to ask or not knowing how to say no or yes, because we haven't taken the time to really connect with our own body, sensually and sexually. Like, what do we really like? How does it really feel to take the time, like the arousal of a woman usually is between 30 to 45 minutes to climax, and men not. So our energetics are not a little bit, they're different. So men have to learn to be more patient, and women, we need to feel safe. We need to feel safe and open. So with this challenge, the idea is to give women a practice that's called the 7 gates, to move through the 7 different gates in the body. So it's an embodied practice to connect with your pleasure, with your joy. And also because like I've mentioned, we've all had many different experiences in life, and especially sexually, that we hold in our pelvis, good stories and bad stories. So this is going to be an opportunity for you to explore the good stories and the bad stories, and to feel safe and contained, to be able to move through them. Yeah.
Awesome. So what's the format for the workshop?
Yeah, so it's a week long. So we're gonna be doing an opening ceremony, so a live call where I'm gonna be giving you the practice. So every day we're gonna go through 1 gate. And this you're gonna be doing at your own home, in your own space. We're not doing it together because you really wanna give yourself time and the space to go into your own experience. But then I'm opening a direct portal channel where we're going to be connecting. And this is a place to ask all your questions, share your insights, your experiences, concerns. And so we are going to be starting to create magic, a cauldron together as women in this portal. And then there's a mid-journey check-in live call as well, to come together as a group live to do a check-in. And then a closing ceremony as well, live call. So that's the format.
Epic.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like such a needed thing to.
It's so needed. We need to heal our sexual energy. The big taboos of society: sex, money, and power,
that are often so intertwined.
and of course, because it's like, think about the money, like the stories we have as women of not deserving, not being worthy. And a big theme that I encounter in women is the challenge to receive. It's hard to receive, you know, like women don't open themselves up to receive. And so then what we do, we act. And so we lean more in the masculine energy, and then our feminine starts to get depleted. And then we start to complain that we're not finding the right partner, or, you know, because the energetics are in balance. So we need to learn to step back again into our feminine, to receive pleasure, to receive joy, to receive abundance. And that happens first in the body. So for me, everything that I do in the community, in the workshops, in my one-on-one mentorships, is really through the body. The body is the vessel of transformation.
Right. And that's where I feel like a lot of people I know, men and women, have a tendency to like live in their mind.
The mind.
So it's just like trying to get people to connect back to the body.
Exactly. The body-mind connection is super important. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, that's all super interesting. You got me intrigued for sure. Yeah. Yes. And we'll link to your website and all of that in the notes. But what would you say if just to leave people with a little, I don't know, whatever you want to give, a little tip or whatever.
Go surfing, go play in nature.
I'm always saying that all the time, but like from your particular vantage point.
Yeah, for me, it's like spend as much time as you can in nature, either surfing or on the beach or on the forest, or go and hug a tree, go in and pet animals. Like for me, nature is the biggest teacher. And yeah, and with that also like lean into your communities and reach out to your sisters. Like for me, Sacred Sisterhood has been my savior, and I feel privileged and honored to have amazing and beautiful women around. And I just hope that I can keep cultivating spaces for women to come in and lean in and resource and grow and transform together. Together we are stronger. Together we rise.
Epic.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. That was amazing. Yeah.